What's going on,
Right.
guys? Zazubaar here. Back again. It's been a while since we've done one of these. I have Dylan with me as always. Dylan, say hi to the people.
Hi to the people.
So we're back at you again with another Godzilla Odyssey Retrospective. We're on issue 6, D. We've been doing this for like 6 months. More than that, because we've let certain ones like this one get delayed by quite a bit. So we've been at this for a while already.
But we're halfway through this shit already.
Dude, I'm
I
like...
didn't realize that, but...
Yeah, that's a good point. But also, dude, we like actually are kind of continuing an ongoing thing that isn't DFOS. Like, this is kind of a big deal, I think.
I think we're actually going to finish this. It would have been more impressive. It would have been more impressive if we had finished the actual series. But finishing us talking about what we were going to do in the series is something at least.
Hey man, you gotta take your victories in stride, and you gotta let your defeats be in the past, and you gotta learn from them. And we learned from our defeats with this potential victory. Let's say, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But on this month's Godzilla Odyssey Retrospective, as we as we explicitly stated at the end of last episode, In the Clutches of Gabara, one of my favorite titles of the entire series so far.
Oh, is that what you wound up titling that?
Yeah, In the Clutches of Gabara.
In the Clutches of Gabara.
Yeah. And well, like the metaphorical clutches, because it was a dream dimension and nothing is technically real.
Right,
but,
right. It was sort of... what's the word?
It's about as real as our society, man.
His ethereal clutches.
Yeah, perfect.
His metaphysical clutches. His...
Sure.
What have you.
Sure. Speaking of metaphysical, D, let's talk about what would happen if Godzilla showed up randomly in the Power Rangers universe. No. So, that is the next universe that Godzilla was supposed to stop off in our fan fiction epic that we never finished. And we never got to this one either. Unlike the last one that Dylan came up with, Dylan had like most of the script written for that. Whereas with this next one, Godzilla X Power Rangers, which was going to be all me, I was going to be all writing duties on my side of the table. Guess how much I got done? I didn't even have a plot idea. Nah.
Woo.
Well, I had rough concepts, but this was one of the ones that we were going to get to and then come up with the plot when we got there. And we never got there, so we never really came up with the hard and fast plot. But there was a couple of things that I did consider and sort of mull over and know that I wanted to include. You gotta have Tommy in there somewhere, number one. You're gonna put Godzilla in the Power Rangers universe. Tommy's gotta be there. He's one of the ones that is the most closely associated with dinosaurs and dragons,
right.
And the Dragon Zord, which is Godzilla in the Power Rangers universe. So, Tommy's
gotta
gotta be there in some capacity.
You gotta have Godzilla fight Green Mechagodzilla. You can't pass that up.
Not even that, because I did at one point think, well, maybe we'll do Dino Thunder. Maybe we'll have Godzilla pop up in that era. Because, one, that's when I got into Power Rangers. It was when Dino Thunder was new. Like, really hardcore. And, that one, it's sort of like... I felt like I could sort of use the nostalgia of Mighty Morphin in a similar way to how that show did, for the same effect that we would have achieved by having Godzilla just pop up in Mighty Morphin. But then I was like... Then when I did that, I was like, well, yeah, but I want, like, the other Mighty Morphin Rangers in there, too. You know? Like, you don't just want Tommy. Like, you want Jason, you want Zach, you want Kimberly. You want the original Rangers. And then I was like, well, what if I did, like, time travel, where Godzilla pops up in the Dino Thunder era, and somehow the Mighty Morphin Rangers also end up in the future in the Dino Thunder era. And at that point, I was like, I'm just gonna set it in the Mighty Morphin era. So, which is what I always had in mind when I did that video all those years ago, where it was like, oh, all these Godzilla fights, that could be cool, but they'll never happen. I was like, you should do the Mighty Morphin era when Tommy was still the Green Ranger. So, that's what I figured would probably be the best.
And then we were like, fuck that, we'll make it happen. And then it wound up that you were right, that happened.
Exactly. So, did get to there, though, and there were a couple of plot ideas that I did sort of want to play with. One was, I wanted to use Godzilla's presence in that universe as like a counterbalance to the Rangers, as a commentary on their world, because the monsters in Power Rangers by and large, there are some exceptions, rare exceptions. They're a fucking joke. Like, they're just weird looking, goofy looking, one line spewing, just jokes. Like, that's what they are. They have all got these very specific gimmicks. They're 60s Batman villains, very intentionally, from the original Sentai.
I mean, one of them's a pig ball.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, again, you watch Jew Ranger and all the Sentai shows, I feel like you get why that's why it's like that a lot more. Pardon me, a lot more.
Yeah, well, Jew Ranger had the whole mythology motif going. Well, and Power Rangers sort of wrote that motif out, so at that point the designs no longer made sense, whereas originally they made perfect sense.
Right. But what I was also thinking is, the Sentai shows, Jew Ranger being the only one I've seen in full, it has a lot more of, like, that Batman 66 tongue-in-cheek kind of nature to it, where it's very self-aware about what it is, and it's writing its material for an audience that's like, you guys know what this is about. We like this. If you like this, you're gonna like this too. So, that mindset, I feel like, should have been incorporated more into Power Rangers. Power Rangers plays it a lot more straight and safe than that. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. So, what I was gonna say though is that Godzilla is a very different creature than what the Power Rangers fight. Most of the Power Rangers enemies are sentient to some degree. So, I mean, did the Power Rangers ever fight? I mean, I'd probably remember this more than you would. Like, just a straight up, just snarling, just animalistic monster. The closest I can think of is some of the Zords act like that more than the monsters do.
I can't speak to Mighty Morphin because I don't remember it as well as you do. But in Jew Ranger, the closest they ever came to that is the episode where Rita tricks the monster into fighting the Rangers because of the eggs, you know?
Yeah, right.
Because that creature wasn't so much like sentient as much as it was. Well, it was like it had the sentience of like an animal. Basically.
That was a very Toho kind of monster that they did.
Yeah,
a monster with some sympathy behind it that doesn't just kill for the sake of killing. We talked about that one in our top 10, but that's a great fucking episode.
Oh, it's a fantastic episode.
So Godzilla though, snarling. I mean, he's our version in particular is sentient to a degree, but not the kind of sentience I'm talking about. That English-speaking, taunting, gimmicky, like basically just a guy in a monster suit type of logic.
Yeah.
Godzilla.
He's somewhere in between that monster that I was talking about from Jew Ranger and like normal like human type sentience. He's somewhere in between on like the spectrum because like we wrote him as intelligent, but he's not like he doesn't talk or anything. You know.
I feel like we wrote him like most people think of King Kong, where he's an animal and he acts like an animal, but the intelligence behind that animalism is a lot more human than you might expect, and a lot smarter than you might. We basically write Godzilla, I feel, as just a really hyper-intelligent predator, which I feel like is the way you do a smart Godzilla. But anyway, that's beside the point. But I wanted to put the Power Rangers up against that kind of monster to see how they react to it and really test their heroism. Because I feel like a lot of people, including myself, especially after watching Jew Ranger, really kind of question the Power Rangers' worth as heroes and kind of their cred, you know? Like, they just get teleported to Zordon's command center, they get given their powers, they're like, here you go, you literally don't have to do anything except be kind of good at gymnastics, and you can have all of the power to save or destroy the world. Go. And that's how it starts, and that's all the worth that they get as heroes. I mean, you got to also remember in the first episode of Power Rangers, after that point, when they go outside the command center, they're trying to go back home, they get attacked by putties because Rita knows that they're the Power Rangers. So they don't even like go seek out or proactively try to go like stop the evil that's happening in their world. It comes to them right away. And they're sort of forced into being the Power Rangers. So, I feel like what Godzilla being in their world gives you the opportunity to do is really put them up against something that's not gonna fucking give up easily. I mean, D, I think you'll agree. Realistically, there's no way that the Power Rangers would be able to stop Godzilla. Especially our version.
Yeah, I think you could make an argument for some versions of Godzilla.
I think that if you were realistically going to film this, you'd want it to be the Showa Godzilla.
For example, I think the Power Rangers could maybe defeat like Legendary, because despite him having a major size advantage, he also has a huge stamina problem.
That is true. I think I could see your point there, especially since the Legendary Godzilla, he's not a mutation, so his sort of supernatural abilities are sort of scaled back because he's just supposed to have naturally evolved that way. And that sort of limits the kind of preternatural things he can do. So yeah, you are right. But our Godzilla is the tried and true, mutated, he can kind of do anything if he really wants to, Godzilla.
Yeah.
Ours has an atomic pulse, and he can do anything he wants with his atomic breath. His nuclear reserves are certainly limited. Like, he's got to recharge. But they're not. Yeah. They don't seem to be nearly as like easily drawn out or nearly depleted is the word I was looking for as Legendaries. I mean, Legendary fires his atomic breath twice and he's out.
And he's a seasoned fighter, because one of our concepts was that this is a Godzilla who's sort of been through, most of the things you think of when you think of a Godzilla continuity already. Like, before he goes on this interdimensional journey in his own home universe, our version of Godzilla has already had his own, Ghidorah, and he's already had his own Gigans and Megalons and Hedras and all that shit. So he has the benefit of experience on his side, whereas like, as opposed to like a fresh Godzilla, like throwing like 62 into the multiverse and seeing what happens,
Yeah, you put up 62 against like the Heisei Godzilla, like, Jesus Christ, it's a bloodbath.
Even worse, imagine GMK fighting 62. Because GMK is vicious in a way Heisei never even was.
But dude, GMK is the living dead. Like, he's not even like a real animal to speak. He's he's a demon. So... Yeah. That's kind of unfair, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, Godzilla's power has increased over time, and I feel like a lot of people forget that sometimes. And our Godzilla is sort of the modern day status quo, the Millennium series kind of powered Godzilla, where he's very powerful, but he is grounded in his powers are grounded in a realistic setting, is sort of the idea, and realistic-ish kind of rules. The Power Rangers don't have to worry about that kind of thing. So I'm not saying that just because Godzilla sort of automatically would beat them by default, that doesn't mean that they can't do anything to him that wouldn't be substantial. Because I feel like if you hit Godzilla in the right place with the Power Sword, the one that the Megazord has, you could probably do some damage. The problem is he'll just heal, though. Ours, anyway. Yeah. That's the issue with our Godzilla going up against the Rangers, is that even if they manage to do something drastic, like cut his arm off, like, it's just going to grow back. Maybe not right away, but it would. And that wouldn't stop him either. Like, he's got a tail, he's got 2 legs, he's got a mouth, he's not even nearly done at that point. Now, you take all the Zords, Dragon Zord, Megazord, Titanus, you throw them all together, you form the Mega Ultra Zord, best name ever. You have that fire everything at Godzilla. I feel like that would put him down for a few minutes, where he'd be like, "Oh, fuck me, this hurts." Like, that's a lot of power behind that. Like, the Power Rangers, they are the kind of like Godzilla. They can kind of do anything as long as you write them to, Like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, especially, like, you see, like, they'll grab one of their swords, and they can pretty much use it as a gun whenever they want to. Even if they have a separate, like, laser gun, they'll just, like, wave their hand across it, and it's got lasers coming out of it. They can just, like, fire the laser blast, like, in the distance. Like, they can do anything. And it's like, it sort of seems like they can do that because they can sort of manipulate the morphing grid like a Green Lantern, sort of. But anyway, it's bad writing, mainly. But
it's not very well explained is the issue.
No, well, I mean, they stopped talking about the morphing grid after the main kind of continuity stopped in space, and they were just like, "These powers, they're from the ancient times."
And a little bit of that comes from the Sentai, but I don't think Jew Ranger was as bad about it, except for certain things like whatever happened to Burai's Green Hadouken. We never saw that again.
I don't really, but again, like the inconsistencies of the Sentai they just didn't bother me as much as they do, and like they don't jump out as much as Power Rangers do. And again, I feel like that's because Power Rangers tries to play it more kind of straight science fiction than the Sentai.
That's the other thing. I feel like if Godzilla was fighting the Jew Ranger version instead of the American Power Rangers version, he might have a harder time. Because you remember how in Jew Ranger, like that ultimate move that you were talking about, like destroys Satan? Like there's kind of a major power difference. I don't know.
Didn't they have? Well, if you want to get technical, the Rangers did that too. He just wasn't called Satan. He was called Lokar or some shit.
That's true. It's true.
Anyway, I see what you're saying, though. I see what you're saying. Well, I mean, also remember the fucking Jew Rangers are actual fucking warriors. They're not just teenagers from a fucking gym.
Yeah.
So that's one advantage.
Also, their giant robot is a god instead of just a giant robot.
So, why don't we talk a little bit about... Let's talk about what we could do plot-wise. Because what I was thinking... with the whole, we're putting the Rangers up against a thing that, unlike the other creatures that they've fought. So just straight destruction. Godzilla doesn't have a goal. He's destroying because that's what he does. So, what I thought of doing was like, well, what if you had a situation where like, the Rangers are kind of off doing something, they're unprepared. Godzilla shows up and they can't get back to the city to fight him. That was one idea. I wanted to really, like, use Godzilla's presence in this universe to put the Rangers in dramatic situations they hadn't really been in before. But, and I still think you could do stuff with that. But I couldn't think of a good enough story reason for that to happen. And also, because of the length of these issues that we were planning, you know, like, your comic book count, like 22 pages or so, you don't want to play that up too much. You want to get the Rangers in the Megazord and fighting Godzilla as quickly as possible. So, right. And again, we never really had a finalized plot idea for this. Another thing we talked about at one point was Zed trying to use Godzilla to fight the Rangers and trying to manipulate Godzilla.
Right. So, I feel like you would kind of have to go somewhere along that route because obviously you want to find a way to use Zed and Rita in some capacity. And also you got to remember that Godzilla in this issue will just come off the shit in the dream realm with Gabra and all that shit, which is supposed to be sort of a turning point in the series to start his character change a little bit. So I think it would actually make a little bit more sense to do it in a way where like Zed is, if not controlling Godzilla straight up, because you don't want to go to that route. But
I don't think he could.
But manipulating him in some capacity, which
I got it. So here's what I thought of earlier, because I was thinking, because again, didn't have a straight plot idea. So here's what I was thinking. So what if to kind of mix things up, instead of just having Godzilla just pop up in Angel Grove at the beginning and just have him start destroying the city? What if he actually gets dropped onto the moon at Zed's moon base? And he just is like, what? And he's just like fucking weirded out and kind of pissed. And Zed and Rita are also like, what? Like, what the fuck? We didn't cause this. But they're like, well, we're interested, certainly. So I thought the point is, I don't want Godzilla
This is already a much better Godzilla versus Bryan Cranston thing. Anyway, go ahead.
So I thought, well, what if... Because you're right, this is after his being in the clutches of Gabara. So he isn't going to be... I don't think he's going to be a little worn out, I feel, at this point. He's halfway through the series at this point. He's getting that kind of mid-range, like, ugh. You know, that kind of middle-of-the-week kind of trough of energy. Anyway, So I thought, what if Zed, like, tries to do something at that point? He tries to capture Godzilla, or he tries to attack him, or he tries to just do something. He throws his staff at him, and he's like, make this monster under my power, or something like that. And then he would laugh and flail around, because that's what Lord Zed does, and that's why we love him.
Right, yes, of course.
And Rita would be like, "Yeah!" Like that would be their dynamic. And also, the other thing, too, I wanted to open on Zed and Rita because they are the most interesting characters in the show. The villains are why you watch Power Rangers, especially later on. Season 3 of Mighty Morphin might be my favorite season just because of Rita and Zed. Like, they are fucking on point that whole season. They're just dealing with marital problems. Zed's fucking in-laws show up and they're fucking up his shit. It is great. But, so I thought, well, we'll open on the villains because they're the best characters. So I thought, well, Zed tries to get control of Godzilla. He can't. And he's like, well, fuck this. This thing is out of control. Godzilla, like, starts to kind of attack the moon base. He doesn't get very far into destroying it when Zed's like, all right, fuck this. The Rangers can deal with this. Let's just teleport this thing to Angel Grove. That they can do. So Rita and Zed, they combine their power. They throw both their staffs at Godzilla. And he gets teleported down right into the middle of Angel Grove. Like, right just before he was about to charge up his first atomic breath to fire at the moon base. So Godzilla gets plopped down. He was literally just about to fire, too. So as soon as he gets down there, the first thing he does is fire. And he just, like, obliterates half the city with his atomic breath. And, of course, Zordon and Alpha are like, fuck! Like, Jesus Christ, where did that come from? Like, they're taken off guard. Because Rita and Zed don't usually do that. They don't usually just, like, drop a monster into the middle of Angel Grove and just have it start destroying stuff, or especially that quickly. Like, again, they like to foreplay, you know, they like to start off with some putties, they like to have a monster try to inconvenience the Rangers in some kind of personal way, then they actually try to attack innocent people.
Yeah, they have this whole ineffectual formula that they never deviate from for whatever fucking reason.
Exactly. So, this time, though, they accidentally do a better job at what they've been trying to do for 3 seasons by just fucking pest control by dropping Godzilla into the middle of Angel Grove because they don't want to deal with him. So, of course, Zordon and Alpha are like, fucking Rita and Zed are fucking our shit up. Where are the Power Rangers? So, the Power Rangers get deployed, of course. And and you could still play with the idea of like, well, maybe they're busy off doing something. I feel like the Rangers would be complacent. Like, Zordon and Alpha would be like, holy shit, one of Rita and Zed's monsters is attacking the city. They really draw out the process of like, alright Rangers, it's morphin' time! Like, it takes them a while to like, get going. They morph, they do the sequence of getting the Zords going, the fucking volcano explodes, the pterodactyl comes out of it, the T-Rex comes out of the ground, all drawn out. And I want to like, have it happen in real time, where it cuts back and forth between like, the Rangers, like, gearing up to go fight, and Godzilla just destroying the city. And he's not really going off as aggressive as he usually does. Like, he's more just kind of confused than anything else in this particular issue, where he's just kind of like, what am I what's going on? Like, gee, like, where am I? Like, I was just on the moon I could breathe for some reason. Like, that's the thing, too. I'm using the fact that you can breathe on the moon in Power Rangers to my advantage.
Why not?
Right?
He's been to Planet X before, why the fuck not?
Exactly. So, the Rangers go up against Godzilla. They're fighting and stuff. And, the Power Rangers are like, we can't do this. The fight goes on, they try it with the Megazord, they try it with, the Dragon Zord and the Megazord. They try it with that combo of the Dragon Zord and the Megazord, like where he kind of gets put on his shoulder pads and the drill is a weapon. You remember that?
Yeah.
They try it with Titanus. Nothing works. It's just, the city is just being devastated. So, Godzilla, like, just wrecks the Megazord. It gets taken to pieces. Like, it's the first time we would have seen anything like that. Like, there's a scene later in Mighty Morphin, it's not the original Megazord, where, I think it's the Thunder Megazord, where it just gets taken apart, like, it just falls to pieces, and we'd never seen anything like that. Like, the Zords never sustained that kind of damage. It was always just, like, sparks, and Billy would be like, our crystal reserves are low, we can't fire the laser! Like, that would be the extent of the damage that the Megazord would receive. But, this time, arms are getting taken off, fucking wires are coming out, the fucking, like, Tyrannosaurus Zord is, like, crawling on the ground with no legs, like, pleading for its life.
Sounds good.
Exactly. And, Godzilla, but the thing that I want to draw your attention to is that Godzilla is not being as sort of aggressive and as sort of, his sort of cocky, I'm trying to think of a way to describe it, but usually when Godzilla fights, he takes his stance as the king of the monsters very seriously. He's on top of that shit the whole time. He's very concerned about, like, listen, motherfucker, I am Godzilla, so just chill. But this time he's kind of just like, I just want to get this over with so I can go lay down. That's what he's like at this point, where he's just like, I'm just really tired, man. So that's also, like, Zordon and Alpha are trying to figure all this shit out, like, what's going on. They can sort of get some readings off Godzilla, and that's what they're getting, is they're like, he's not even really trying. Like, he's just kind of just trying to get this done. And it calls into question the competence of the Rangers and their effectiveness as superheroes. So they're done. Megazord's down. They have no way to fight Godzilla. Godzilla has leveled Angel Grove. They've played a huge role in helping. So they fucked up. They're kind of screwed. Billy is like, I don't think Rita and Zed created this thing. They're all pretty sure of that. They're like, this is something different. All is not kosher in Denmark. To quote Kevin Smith. Things are weird. So, they decide, well, and Billy takes some readings or whatever, and he's like, well, what if they just found this thing and sent it down? Because I'm getting some, like, teleportation readings. It seems like they teleported it. Because the Rangers are always teleporting to different dimensions and onto Zed's base and all that. So they're privy to that kind of scientific knowledge, you know what I mean? So They know that they kind of figure out what happened. And they're like, well, we can't beat this thing. Why don't we just send it back to where it came from? So Billy, like, sets up his teleportation poles. You see them in the series at a couple points. They use them to travel to Zed's, like, evil dimensions, aka, like, the woods. And they set up a frequency they already know. They know by heart the frequency for Zed's, like, moon base or whatever.
Well, you could have them, because obviously they would have to space them out pretty far in order to teleport Godzilla, because he's so big, right? Yeah. So you could have each of them have to take up the pole to, like, a designated location.
Right. They'd have to
introduce an element of teamwork into the...
Yeah. Exactly. And also, Godzilla's got to be kept in one certain spot, otherwise it's not going to work. So they get Tommy to get in the Dragon Zord, because the Dragon Zord is the closest in size to Godzilla, and it's also the most, like, it's just the most apt to go one-on-one with him. So they send out the Dragon Zord to fight Godzilla. So the Dragon Zord is keeping Godzilla distracted while they're setting up the teleportation poles and everything. And Godzilla is literally, like, just about to finish off the Dragon Zord, like, fucking, like, cut its fucking circuit-filled throat or some shit. When, poof, he's gone. He's sent back up to the moon base. And he's just like, again? Really? Like, are you fucking kidding me? And I thought maybe as another kind of, as a funny kind of way to bookend it, he was about to fire the atomic breath again. He built up to that point, and when he gets sent down to the moon base, he fires again. Just because he was about to fire anyway, and he just blows up the moon base. Just totally devastates it. And he's just kind of like, well, I did what I was going to do anyway. And then he's gone. He teleports back into... He's just pulled out of it into the next dimension. And we're off to the next universe, which you'll have to remind me of. You have the list. I don't know where I have it on this computer. So get that ready, because I don't remember what the next one was. Maybe I do, but just to be safe.
I'll have to open that up real quick.
So that's my pitch. What do you think? And and also, I thought after Godzilla disappears, I just want one if this was a comic panel of just Rita, Zed, all their crew just, like, sitting in a crater on the moon, just like, we do not have the insurance for this. Something like that. Just like, fuck! I just want Zed just like, I just finished remodeling that. Like, the new bathroom I installed was great. Every king needs a good, solid bathroom where they can do their deepest contemplative thinking. But anyway, so that's my idea. I don't know where Eulicles would fit into all of it. Maybe just as an advisor role to Zordon and Alpha, but that's kind of what we've been relegating him to this entire time. But
right.
I don't know. I just kind of liked the raw kind of novelty of I just wanted to toss Godzilla into the Power Rangers world and just see how they dealt with it. And my idea was not greatly. So what do you think?
That sounds good to me.
I like seeing the Power Rangers being incompetent.
The only thing we have to figure out is, like you said, what Eulicles would be doing during all this. I forgot about his ass until you just said that.
Yeah. Everybody usually
let's
does.
see. He's like, it's fine. I'm used to it.
I'm from another dimension. This happens all the time to interdimensional beings.
I mean, in the issue previous to this, in number 5, he kind of went against the authority, to save Godzilla from the whole Gabra thing. What if he isn't there to assist in the Power Rangers debacle in any way because he's dealing with
he's facing reprimands.
Yeah, he's sort of because this whole time we've basically been ripping off Doctor Who for this character. He could go through his own sort of trial of a Time Lord type thing.
Yeah, where they're like, you fucked up. Like, that was our chance to be done with this whole thing. And maybe they're watching what's going on in the Power Rangers universe, and they're like, we're not going to intervene on this one. You need to see what you did. You need to face the consequences of your actions in that other universe. Now, this universe is going to pay for it. And you're going to see that the heroes of this world be put to the test. Let's see if they handle this situation better than you do. They don't. They pretty much just do exactly the same thing that Eulicles did in the last issue. Just teleport Godzilla away until the problem is solved.
We could even have him taken out of the action for like a couple issues, and then they bring him back later on because what we had planned for number 8 is like a really big fucking deal, and that might even be enough for them to be like, well, fuck it, you need to go back in the field, you need to go fucking do something, like. So we could actually take him out of the action for 6 and 7, and not have to worry about writing him into things, and
that might be more helpful if what I think is the next one is the next one. Because it works better with the idea of just the raw novelty of Godzilla being tossed into a fictional universe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I like that idea. I like what you can kind of do with it, where you're having Eulicles face what Godzilla will always be nothing but, he'll never do anything but destroy. Is seemingly what this is being proven to Eulicles here. Now, what I also like is that with the scenario I described, Godzilla isn't really to blame for what he's doing. Like, he kind of just gets fucked. Like, he just kind of gets dropped in the middle of a city, and he just happens to be there and destroy it. And then a bunch of lunatics and robots come and fight him. So, which he's already experienced a couple of times in this series so far.
Yes, he has.
So he's not having a good day, or a good jaunt through the multiverse, I guess, is the better way to describe it. But yeah, no, I think that all works. I'm really about all that. Because I feel bad because that's a very simple kind of overarching story, though. Do you think there's anything we should add in terms of, like, maybe Rita and Zed throw out some kind of a monster, or I don't know. I kind of like the simplicity of it, though, is the thing.
We could add some bits just to pad it here and there, like before they teleport him to Earth when he's up on the moon, like fucking shit up. Maybe he could have a fight with the giant Goldar.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, maybe at first they're like, well, we're gonna show this thing what's what. Maybe they send out Goldar and a couple of monsters. Godzilla fucks them all up, and then that's when he gets to the moon base because he's pissed at that point. So, that'll also help explain why he does do some destroying once he is in Angel Grove and doesn't just go into the water, because he's kind of pissed at that point. He's like, where are these fuckers who are trying to get me?
Yeah.
And then he gets attacked by the Power Rangers. I like that. I like that a lot. That's a good way to work in the monsters. Good idea, D. Alright. Well,
we need I would also add like some scenes because setting it in the Mighty Morphin area, you got to do something with Bulk and Skull. You would be remiss not to do something with Bulk and Skull.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Just give them some comedic, like trying to survive while this big battle's going on.
See, it's like what would Bulk and Skull do? Because it's like
do something similar to what I to the Yajirobe subplot that I added to the Dragon Ball Z one. Which kind of came right the fuck out of nowhere. But,
maybe because that would be at like the point. This would be at the point where they're like trying to prove the Rangers' identities and shit. That was kind of their deal. That's what they were trying to do. I remember there was one episode where they took like foot casts of the Rangers' boot prints and they tried to match it up with people's feet. That was fucking. I think that was my favorite one because that wouldn't even work. Like.
Because it's impossible that somebody else might have the same shoe size as a Power Ranger.
Exactly, yeah. Well, also, they're morphing into those suits, so they might not even have the same shoe size as they would wear casually on the streets.
That's possible. I mean, Trini grew a dick.
Yeah, so anything is possible. Maybe...
Also, they all became, like, shorter Asian people.
Yeah. And they got better figures, I think. Although, as Mighty Morphin went on, the figures got better.
Because I think all the Jute Rangers were like pretty even, like in height, weren't they? But is it the same for the Angel Grove kids?
Yeah, they're largely the same height. I think Billy or Zach is the shortest. Tommy and Jason are the tallest, and then the girls are just kind of mid range. But I think that Billy is the shortest one. It might be Zach though, and I don't remember fucking Rocky and Aisha and Adam and all that shit. Cat. Tanya and all those fuckers. I'm talking about the original 6, you dickheads.
All those motherfuckers.
Oh, anyway.
I always thought it would be a little better if, like, maybe you had one member of the Power Rangers team who was, like, a little bigger than the rest of them. Just put some variety in there. Because they're always just, like, 5 identical dudes.
and two of them are girls. Yeah.
They're all wearing a different color.
I'd really like to see a female Red Ranger at some point that isn't just like a villain, because they did that in SPD, but she was just a villain and she had a shit outfit. I thought
they did that in
Samurai too. They also did it, but again, she was kind of a bad guy though.
There was a male Red Ranger, and then like it switched because she was supposed to be the Red Ranger all along or something.
Yeah, he fucked up or something, and he was dishonored, and then she became the shittier Red Ranger. But that's what I'm saying, though. They were always like shit.
It had something to do with there being 2 Red Rangers in the Sentai that was adapted, so they had to write some bullshit reason.
Right. Oh, but I think it was a similar storyline in the Sentai, though. But I don't know. I don't remember. I've never seen. I never watched Samurai in full because it's garbage. And
I've only seen the Linkara History of Power Rangers episode about it.
I watched the first episode when it first premiered. And I was okay with it, mostly just because Bulk was in it. That was pretty much the only reason. And then I watched a couple episodes, and I was like, oh, man, this is total shit. But anyway, so...
How the fuck did Bulk get back from the fucking Lost Galaxy?
Well, he was back in Wild Force anyway, because he pops up in the Forever Red special.
But Lost Galaxy doesn't end with them getting back to Earth, does it? They're just still in space. So how did he get back to Earth?
The Lightspeed Rangers come back to Earth during not the Lightspeed Rangers. The Lost Galaxy Rangers come back to Earth to team up with the Lightspeed Rangers in that series. So, however they got back at that point must be how they got back how Bulk got back.
Must be, I guess.
Who the fuck knows, though?
There's got to be some sort of fucking space bridge that we've never seen.
Well, there was a wormhole in that episode, so I'm presuming that's how the Rangers got back there. Anyway, that's not important. That's not a great episode. Most of the Power Ranger crossover episodes are pretty cool. That one is not. Until the end, because it's one of the best monster fights in that entire show. That show always looks amazing when it's at night, because they never do it. That has a fantastic end night battle that looks like it could be at home in a Toho Godzilla movie. So, really, really cool. Check out that fight. I forget what that episode is called. It's not good anyway. Just watch the final fight. Anyway.
It's the one with the Lost Galaxy Rangers and the Lightspeed Rangers, you said?
Yeah, Lost Galaxy and Lightspeed Rescue.
Gotcha.
Two of my least favorite series. Well, Lost Galaxy's not bad, but I don't like Lightspeed Rescue.
I never watched Lightspeed Rescue.
It's not good. It's dull as shit. It's just like, look at these great fucking people. You know how they'd be greater? With superpowers. It's like fascinating.
Because I just lost interest after Lost Galaxy, and then I came back for Dino Thunder, and then I lost interest again after SPD.
Yep, same, pretty much same here, man. Pretty much same here. Although, Time Force is good. I've seen bits of Time Force. I've never sat down and watched all of it, but what I've seen of it is good. Pre-Disney, everything is fine pre-Disney. Then you get to Wild Force, and things get kind of shaky. Like, parts of Wild Force are good. Ninja Storm, I think, is pretty good. And then Dino Thunder, I think, is pretty good. And SPD is good. But it's like, there's that couple of years of, like, they knew what they were doing. But the Wild Force days is where you kind of saw what would eventually happen after SPD. When they just went, fuck it. None of this is going to make any sense, and you're not going to care about anything. So,
yeah.
Anyway, but we hope you cared about this episode of Godzilla Odyssey Retrospective. That's going to do it for this issue where Godzilla crossed into the Power Rangers universe. D, where are we dropping Godzilla next month?
This was a shorter one. The next issue is the DC Comics universe.
Ooh, I knew it. That's what I thought. So Godzilla's going to fight the JLA, kids. Or maybe we should have him fight the JL8.
There would be much pants wetting involved. Yeah.
Or the JSA, just to show that we know things about DC Comics.
Oh, maybe it pops up in the wrong timeline and fights the Justice Lords or whatever.
The Justice Lords, the crime syndicate of America. Ultraman. Yes. He's like, wait, I'm familiar with Ultraman. No, not that Ultraman.
It's a different Ultraman. I saw. How are you familiar with Ultraman?
Yeah, how are you? Godzilla's a big fan of D.G. Sabraya's other work. He's like, I gotta watch my dad's other work.
You haven't crossed over with that yet?
Yeah. Ooh, we'll get there. Or will we? Potential spoilers. You'll have to find out in a couple of months, kids. So, keep following us on our epic journey through Godzilla Odyssey timeline as Godzilla jumps from fictional universe to fictional universe. And if you'd like to see each chapter in this epic journey a little bit earlier than the rest of the world, you can jump over to Facebook and like the Godzilla Odyssey page over there to get them a full 24 hours before they go up on YouTube. So, you can do that. You can also like the Sons of Sarazawa Network homepage on Facebook to get all of our content when it's put up right away. See it all there. That's the feed for our stuff. Go for it, like it, or don't. That's also fun.
There should be quite a bit of content coming out in rapid succession.
Yeah.
Because Bill's backed up.
I am indeed. In both toilet and in video editing.
Which by the time this goes up, most of that shit will probably... Or are you going to rush this through since it's late?
As soon as you have the art done, I'll just fucking get it out.
Oh yeah, fuck, I gotta do that shit.
don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. I wasn't gonna edit this tonight anyway, so just get it to me as soon as you can. But anyway, that's gonna do it, kids. We will see you in the next dimension. I'm Bill Worster, aka Zazubaar.
I'm Super DM64.
Sayonara, you sassy kids. And may the power protect you.